Section 5.2.6 Philosophy of the Juvenile System. I'm Dr. Adam McKee, author of Criminal Justice, an overview of the system. Today, we will delve into the philosophy behind the juvenile justice system. This episode will explore why juveniles are treated differently than adults within the legal framework and how the system aims to balance rehabilitation with the necessity of accountability. One of the central tenets of the juvenile justice system is the belief that juveniles should be treated differently than adults. This is rooted in the widely accepted notion that delinquent children, due to their lack of maturity and cognitive development, are less culpable than adults. Consequently, the juvenile justice system focuses on rehabilitation and education rather than punishment and retribution. Adversarial versus non-adversarial approaches. A critical distinction between the juvenile justice system and the adult criminal justice system is their philosophical approach. The adult criminal justice system operates on an adversarial model, where the prosecution and defense engage in a legal battle to determine guilt or innocence. This system emphasizes the protection of individual rights through rigorous legal procedures and evidence-based adjudication. In contrast, the juvenile justice system is founded on the principle of parens patriae. This notion posits that the state has a responsibility to protect and care for its citizens, particularly juveniles. Under this philosophy, the state assumes a parental role, aiming to guide and rehabilitate rather than simply punish. Challenges in implementation. Despite its philosophical underpinnings, the juvenile justice system is not always as non-adversarial in practice as intended. Juvenile defendants, especially those accused of serious offenses, may still face harsh punishments and detention. Some critics argue that the system is too lenient, failing to hold juvenile offenders sufficiently accountable for their actions. However, the fundamental goal remains rehabilitation and education. The system strives to address the underlying issues that lead to delinquent behavior, providing juveniles with the resources and support they need to turn their lives around and reintegrate into society as productive members. Historical context. Parens patriae. The concept of parens patriae has its origins in chancery practice, where it described the state's power to act in loco parentis, protecting the property and person of the child. Historically, this doctrine was not part of criminal jurisprudence. Under common law, children under the age of 7 were considered incapable of possessing criminal intent. Beyond that age, they were subject to arrest, trial, and punishment similar to adults. Early advocates of the juvenile justice system argued that court proceedings against juveniles should be non-adversarial, with the state acting as parens patriae. However, the Supreme Court has been critical of this idea, noting that the meaning of parens patriae is murky and its historical relevance questionable, as highlighted in the landmark case in Re Galt, 1967. Constitutional challenges and evolution. The Supreme Court's scrutiny led to significant changes in the juvenile justice system. The Warren Court, serving from 1953 to 1969, was particularly critical of the discretionary power held by juvenile judges. They argued that arbitrary and capricious treatment of juveniles stemmed from a departure from established due process standards. Due process is a legal concept requiring the government to follow certain procedures and provide protections when taking action that affects an individual's life, liberty, or property. In the juvenile justice context, this means juveniles should have the same legal protections as adults, including the right to a fair trial, the right to be informed of charges, and the right to legal representation. Key Supreme Court decisions. Several key Supreme Court decisions have shaped the modern juvenile justice system. In Re Galt, 1967, the court ruled that juveniles accused of crimes must be afforded many of the same due process rights as adults, including the right to counsel and the right to confront witnesses. This landmark decision underscored the necessity of constitutional protections in juvenile court proceedings. In Re Winship, 1970, the court further established that the standard of proof, beyond a reasonable doubt, applies to juvenile delinquency proceedings, aligning them more closely with adult criminal trials. This decision emphasized the need for rigorous evidence and fair adjudication, ensuring that juveniles are not wrongfully convicted based on insufficient evidence. Balancing rehabilitation and accountability. The philosophy of the juvenile justice system centers on the belief that juveniles are more amenable to rehabilitation than adults. The system aims to provide tailored interventions that address the root causes of delinquent behavior, such as family issues, substance abuse, and educational deficits. Rehabilitation programs may include counseling, educational support, vocational training, and community service. These programs are designed to help juveniles develop the skills and attitudes necessary to lead law-abiding lives. By focusing on rehabilitation, the juvenile justice system seeks to reduce recidivism and promote long-term positive outcomes for young offenders. Public safety and juvenile justice. While the primary focus of the juvenile justice system is rehabilitation, it also recognizes the importance of public safety. Juvenile courts must balance the rehabilitative needs of young offenders with the need to protect the community. This often involves making difficult decisions about the appropriate level of intervention and supervision. In cases involving serious or violent offenses, juvenile courts may impose stricter measures, including detention in juvenile facilities. However, even in these cases, the goal remains to provide opportunities for rehabilitation and eventual reintegration into society. Criticisms and reforms. Despite its rehabilitative focus, the juvenile justice system faces criticism from various quarters. Some argue that the system is too lenient, allowing juvenile offenders to escape accountability for their actions. Others contend that the system is too punitive, especially for minority youth who are disproportionately represented in juvenile detention facilities. Efforts to reform the juvenile justice system continue, with a focus on improving fairness, reducing disparities, and enhancing the effectiveness of rehabilitation programs. These reforms aim to ensure that the system fulfills its mission of helping juveniles turn their lives around while maintaining public safety. The philosophy of the juvenile justice system is grounded in the belief that juveniles, due to their lack of maturity and lesser culpability, should be treated differently than adults. This system emphasizes rehabilitation and education over punishment and retribution, aiming to address the underlying issues that lead to delinquent behavior. Despite challenges and criticisms, the juvenile justice system remains committed to its rehabilitative mission. By providing juveniles with the resources and support they need, the system seeks to help them become productive members of society. Thank you for joining me, Dr. Adam McKee, as we explored the philosophy behind the juvenile justice system. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe for more insights into the criminal justice system. Feel free to leave your thoughts and questions in the comments below. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.